मैम लाइव बटन एक बार दिखेगा ना तो स्टार्ट कर दीजिएगा, ठीक है?
यस सर।
लाइव बटन ऊपर में दिखाई देगा।
Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's Beyond Education, Inspiring Stories to Inspire World, organized by Idym. Has anyone ever inspired you to change your life in a significant way, made you healthier, happier, or more fulfilled? If so, you understand the difference that positive inspiration can make in a person's life. We humans naturally seek inspiration. In fact, it is a key motivator of creativity. It helps us to be our best even if circumstances might be getting us down. With so much to be gained and aim to inspire people to a lofty one. Inspiration is powerful, but it isn't easy. So would you like to return the favor by making positive difference in the life of your friends, family, or co-workers? If you want to be a positive influence capable of inspiring your loved ones to become better version of themselves. So today we have invited Melissa ma'am from Italy. She will share her story from she has inspired many lives. She is an educator. Past 20 years, she is teaching mathematics in high school. She is an international speaker, brand ambassador Italy for All Lives to Exist. She is a country director for Dias and Big Brain. She is a near POT certified educator, verified educator. She works a lot with coding and gamification. She believes that playful approach to this discipline by passion for teaching. Ma'am, it gives me immense pleasure to warm welcome on behalf of IDYM team. So every teenager has a dream to achieve something in life. What they are going to become tomorrow depends on what our youth dream today. So dreams are essential, as without them, you will not have the motivation or determination to move forward in life. Some kids aspire to become a pilot, some aspire to become a dancer or musician or teacher. However, to achieve these dreams, one has to stay attentive and work hard. Your goals provide you the strength to face obstacles and motivate you towards the achievement. So, ma'am, what inspired you to want to become a maths teacher?
Yes, I'm a math teacher since 28 years and I love a lot my job. There are a lot of reasons because you have to choose to teach. The school is a large community in which children and young people learn to grow and relate to others in society. The teacher has a great responsibility towards them precisely because he becomes their example of a life together with their parents in the family. We have to build the consciences. The teacher's task is to help the kids in their training throughout notions and concepts, but also throughout those teachings that are not found in books. A good teacher explains to them current issues, politics, civic education, and coexistence with others. The teacher contributes to the growth of his pupils, but by living with them every day, he or she in turn acquires an enrichment for himself and herself. Young minds are stimulating and managed in their own way to teach something to adults for a perfect human and social exchange on an equal footing. There is a great joy of teaching for me, the satisfaction of passing on one's knowledge for others to benefit from is an excellent motivation to become a teacher. If this predisposition is strong and gratifying, it means that the passion for this profession is strong and it is the right one. It means that going to work is rewarding and beautiful, and this is also for me. If you deeply love the work of a teacher, it is because the desire for knowledge is always great, and the love for studying does not stop. A teacher continues to learn while teaching. He does it every day with the refresher courses, with the preparation of lessons and continuous training. We work for a better world. The phrase may seem pretentious, but it is not. The work of a teacher in its small way is very important because it creates the people of tomorrow. The new generations need to be educated so that they understand how to live in society. And the contribution of a teacher is fundamental in their development. We give to students gratification. A good teacher is not forgotten for life. Each of us has good memories of a teacher who was fundamental to his growth. These positive examples are the strength of the school, the ones that push some young people to embark on the path to become teachers in turn. The teachers, as a social role, needless to hide that the world of education has many problems. Primarily, those of bureaucracy, management, and endless rankings. Many teachers are affected by the risk of eternal precariousness, by prospects that don't seem to exist, and by a permanent job they dream of. Certainly, these aspects are important, but they must not become frustrating for those who have the primary objective of dedicating themselves to the training of future generations. Teaching remains a profession with a great cultural and social scope, aimed at the growth of the young. The figure of the teacher is and must remain that of a person who has chosen to pass on his skills and knowledge to children and young people. For this service that teachers perform, they have an important and unique social role, aimed at transmitting those values which are an integral part of a community. I have always believed in the importance of the relationship between a student and teacher. I also believe in that between teacher and teacher, relating and discussing each other, constructively criticizing each other are elements that prolifically mark the quality of a higher education process. But there is a question that I often ask myself: why do I teach? I usually ask my colleagues these two, and I notice that the reaction is almost always the same. They look each other in the eye without being able to come up with a valid answer that confirms why they choose this profession. Even some seem to have never asked this question. Keeping in mind the reasons why we teach fresh and alive in our memory is the key to sustaining ourselves during the long and challenging school year. For me, I teach because it is the most effective and fun way to change the world. This should be the common line. We have to change this world. To do that, I decided to become a teacher. And I always work with the young people, and this enriches me a lot.
Was it your math subject or favorite subject? That's why you have become a maths teacher?
Yes, I am a math teacher, and I love to be a math teacher because with this subject, I enjoy a lot teaching. And how we have to teach mathematics, you have to know your subject. Many people think just because they remember having studied in the distant past a bit of math in a botched way, that they are able to teach their concepts to someone else. Nothing could be more false. Mathematics is like a foreign language, and in order to try to pass it on to someone else, you must first be able to master it. Take the time to review various math concepts, vocabulary related to different topics, and practice using it regularly. Often, when students perform poorly on exam, it's not because they don't know how to apply my math concepts, but because they don't understand what the question asks them to do. They don't know the vocabulary. This is where the importance of vocabulary is due. Math vocabulary. Before trying to teach another person as a mathematical concept, make sure you can explain why. Just because it's not enough explanation for curious students of future courses. Walk around the city and see how often math is used. For example, how linear relationships are represented in the number of liters of petrol inserted in the tank compared to the total amount paid. How much the time required to reach a certain destination varies in relation to increase in speed. This is also physics. When a teacher is able to show the utility of maths, students feel more involved. Use concrete activities designated for each teaching unit. Debunk the old myth that math is abstract. Engage students in learning by engaging them in kinesthetic activities, doing it, that make them actually touch and manipulate math. Turn the classroom into a football field to explain the movement of positive and negative integers on the real number line. Bake a cake and bring it to class to work on fraction operations. One great resource is also the National Council for Teachers of Mathematics. Attend some courses for it. Strengthen, and strengthen. We all learn differently, so provide students with adequate opportunities to apply mathematics. Try to present information in verbal, visual, and kinesthetic concrete form. Then make sure you give your students the same opportunity to apply the concepts in the same form. Spend this time observing your students, reinforcing the proper procedures, and correcting the common mistakes individual students make. Check what was taught. No one likes to take a test on exam day, wondering what they've been up to the previous semester. Often, self-confidence is also needed to succeed in math. So prepare students for what will actually be on the exam, not some abstract concept that will make the professor look like a pompous pain in the ass. Finally, broadcast your enthusiasm. Once you take the time to try and understand it, mathematics becomes a truly beautiful discipline. Nothing beats the feeling we get when we see the light bulb go on over a student's head when he finally gets it.
Very good tips, ma'am, you have shared. Many teachers assume that all learners have the same ability and level of learning, but it is important to remember that different learners have different abilities, which is important to consider when teaching. So sometimes, though some assumption, teachers are making some assumptions can be harmful. What we assume about our students, their families, and ourselves can impair our growth and their learning. We limit their potentials. So our students have potential beyond what we can see. So as a maths teacher, what are the few assumptions to keep with us while teaching mathematics?
Can you repeat the answer? Question.
As a maths teacher, what are the few assumptions to keep with us while teaching?
We can use
few teachers, they are having assumptions in their mind. This child, he doesn't know. So as a maths teacher, what assumptions to keep while teaching maths? What teacher she has to
I use gamification, a lot of gamification. Games can introduce goals, interaction, feedback, problem solving, competition, narrative, and full learning environments, elements that can increase learner engagement and sustain motivation. This teaching tip discusses the difference between gamification and game-based learning, the pedagogical values. Tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Now I will come to the next question about the gamification. You have worked with the gamification and coding. So one of the emerging fields is using gamification in education, which is more fun and facilitates information keeping. There is a strong relation between gamification and coding. Both of them are a passive activity and require participation and motivation from the end of the gamification process. And gamification and coding is a new tool which is used to improve the quality of learning. It has a great impact in the way of teaching and learning. So as a gamification, this is today's technology. We are using a new tool in all the schools. So how does coding and gaming help students to learn?
Yes, I use a lot coding, gamification, game-based learning. I want to speak to you about coding. For example, is also called computer programming. Is a transversal methodology of digital culture that allows you to learn to use technology and the web critically. It is also a useful tool to foster the development of computational thinking. The world of work requires an increasing number of professional figures, experts in programming, both to build our virtual interaction places, websites, apps, and operating systems, and to operate the smart objectives we love to surround ourselves with. But that's not why coding is increasingly present in schools. In fact, you don't study to become digital professionals. When you become fluent in reading and writing, you don't do it just to become a professional writer. But learning to read and write is useful for everyone. And it's the same for programming and coding. Most people won't become a computer scientist or a programmer, but the ability to think creatively, think schematically, work collaboratively with others are things people can use no matter what job they do. Coding, in fact, promotes computational thinking, but also problem solving and teamwork skills. Let's explore the topic together. What is coding? Before discovering its benefits and use that can be made on it in teaching, let's start by understanding what coding is. This term refers to computer programming and therefore to the conception and development of software. Programming is giving instructions to an executor that has no intelligence of its own. For this reason, the instructions must be very simple and clear and must be provided to the performer one at a time, sequentially and exhaustively, without omitting detail. The set of instructions to perform a task supplied to the smart object is called a program. When used as a teaching tool, coding allows you to develop creativity, first of all. Potentially anything you can imagine can be created. Problem solving, thanks to the development of computational thinking, one acquires the ability to solve increasingly difficult problems. Teamwork, there are coding platforms that allow you to work in groups. This allows you to interact and relate to others, to develop joint projects. What is computational thinking? Programming allows you to develop computational thinking, a concept introduced by Simon Papert in the book Mindstorms in 1980. Jeanette Wings later defined it as the process necessary for formulating and solving problems in ways that can be understood by information processing agents. Computational thinking is therefore a mental process which allows you to solve problems of various kinds by following specific methods and tools chosen on the basis of a planned strategy. It is a creative and logical process that we use in daily life. Learning to make conscious use of it allows us to deal with the situation analytically, breaking them down into the various aspects that characterize them and choosing most suitable solutions for each other. These strategies are indispensable in computer programming, but in teaching any activity that involves a wide constructions of algorithms can favor their development. Situations that require the creation of a procedure to be adopted, the conception of a sequence of operations to solve a problem, etc. These activities contribute to the construction of mathematical, scientific, and technological skills, and to the refinement of language skills. Mastery of coding and computational thinking can also help people develop critical thinking. How can we use coding in the classroom? Coding can be used in the classroom as a cross-disciplinary activity. This is because if used as a teaching tool, it does not require specific computer skills, but allows you to exemplify concepts, describes procedures for solving problems and finding solutions, combining creativity and imagination with logic and mathematics. Programming lends itself to being an important resource for learning both scientific and literary subjects. But if every teacher can feel free to enrich their lessons with the help of programming, in Italy, the National Digital School Plan provides for a specific figure for dissemination of coding. We in Italy, in our schools, we have a specific figure. Each school will have a digital animator, a teacher who, together with the head teacher and the administrative director, will play a strategic role in spreading innovation at a school. The digital animator that then takes care of identifying sustainable methodological and technological solutions to be disseminated within the school environment. For example, use of particular teaching tools with which the school is equipped, the practice of a common methodology, information of an existing innovation in other schools, a laboratory of coding for all students, consistent with the analysis of the needs of the school itself, also in synergy with the technical assistance activities carried out by the figures, by other figures. Even before the 2012 national guidelines for the nursery schools and first cycle education curriculum had provided for activities related to computational thinking. When possible, students can be introduced to some particularly simple and versatile programming languages that lend themselves to developing a taste for the design and implementation of projects. In the national guidelines and new scenarios of 2018, point 5 reiterates the importance of computational thinking as one of the cultural tools for citizenship. The exercise of active citizenship requires cultural tools and secure basic skills and competencies to which all disciplines contribute. Language and mathematics related are the basis of computational thinking. Another aspect of learning that recent regulations, a law in 2015 and a legislative decree in 2017, asked to develop in Italy. Activities related to computational thinking are foreseen in the targets of the indication, in particular in the field of technology, However, they can be foreseen in any field of knowledge. Some platforms that we use with the coding are Scratch. Teaching coding to children and teenagers requires a different method than that used with adults. The latter must necessarily learn a large amount of notions and must know the syntax of their main programming languages. At school or in general, for the little ones, a playful approach is recommended. For this purpose, both games have been created to learn programming, and platforms have been developed to take the first steps in the world of coding. Let's see together the main ones and that can be used at school or even at home. Scratch, the most famous online platform developed by the MIT Media Lab's Lifelong Kindergarten, is called Scratch. It has a very intuitive graphical interface and provides teachers and students with various projects with which they can learn to program and improve their coding skills. With Scratch, it is possible to program animations, games, interactive stories, and share the result with other members of the community. Another platform is Coder Dojo. The Coder Dojo project, on the other hand, was created to offer kids a training ground for programming. The project, active in more than 100 countries and supported by over 12,000 volunteers, allows you to learn the basics of coding and improve programming skills. Each dojo or virtual gym represents a programming club, and each club commits to completing different projects. Then we can speak about Code Academy, another community of programmers that you can join, and a platform. It is a platform with hundreds of projects and lots of useful resources for studying. And then we can speak about Lego Mindstorms, another tool, a platform based on the famous bricks, which also has an educational version where it is possible to build and program a real robot. And another platform very famous is a Minecraft education, instead based on the well-known Minecraft video game. It allows you to approach programming and develop all those skills useful for relating to others in a fun and interactive way. Italy was among the first countries to introduce coding in schools, together with other digitalization measures. And it is also among the countries of the International Association for the Evaluation of Education Achievement, which have decided to evaluate skills and information throughout a survey, international computer and information literacy study. In the most recent edition, that of 2018, both computational thinking and computer and information literacy were measured, and it emerged that Italian students obtain a digital literacy score significantly lower than international average. However, it should be emphasized that Italian students took the test at the beginning of the 8th year of schooling, unlike students from other countries who took it towards the end of the same year. It will be interesting to compare the 2018 data with the data of the next survey, which will take place in 2023. As to understand the progress of the digitization process of our schools in Italy.
Well explained, ma'am. Now, so students, when they heard a maths subject, the moment when you hear a maths exam, most of the students get anxious about how to do the exam. Fear of failure will be on their mind, and their mind stops working since then. So this is called a maths anxiety, you can say, or arithmophobia, fear of maths or numbers. This anxiety is common in all the students. Nothing but tension rises in solving maths problems. So some students have come to believe over time that they are just not good at maths. This type of attitude can result in their future also. So This type of attitude can result in students failing or even try to learn certain topics. So as a maths teacher, what do you feel are challenges to teaching maths and how do you overcome them?
How can it happen that there are so many minds that refuse to understand mathematics? Isn't there something paradoxical in this fact? But how? It is one science that appeals only to fundamental principles of logic. For example, a principle of contradiction toward, so to speak, constitutes the skeleton of our intelligence, to what we could not abandon without ceasing to think. And there are people who find it dark, and yet you don't have to have a lot of experience in exams to know that these blind men are by no means exceptions. This is not an easy problem to solve, but one that should concern everyone who wants to devote themselves to teaching. It is seen as a discipline characterized by a language cryptic and contrived, difficult at the same time boring, of which you can grasp the meaning. In the construction of this vision of mathematics and self as a pupil, you acknowledge the responsibility of a little teaching, encouraging, attentive to products rather than processes, which it favors exercises to problems, often conditioned by a reductive idea of assessment, so that the student can perceive the meaning of the teaching of the mathematics is therefore of the teaching of the important to reflect on some practices, widespread teaching and their consequences, but also on some beliefs that underlie these practices. What are these beliefs? The successful idea identified with the correct answers given quickly. The idea that helping students means making the things easier for them. How is mathematical viewed? A vision of a learning in which there is a little room for error in time, focused more on the acquisition of knowledge and skills than on skills building. Starting from this reflection, it is impossible to identify some strategies, teaching methods that restore meaning to the teaching of mathematics. Problem solving, laboratory teaching, but above all, a different management of time and errors. To be able to speak in any case of an improvement of the performance amounts are often lowered. The cases in which in the intervention of this kind works, they are really few and in a certain sense, not very significant, as the perception of the teacher is that it is about pupils who would have recovered the same without need of a specific intervention. Recovery work is usually limited to one or more topics specific. That is, it is a local intervention. But are the difficulties observed equally local? In other words, the student has a problems in a specific topic or in a specific area of mathematics. For example, equations, these equations, the theorem of Pythagoras, polynomials, or others. Or in any case, limited to skills and processes specific, such as reading and writing the numbers. Or is difficulties concern mathematics in general, that is, they are spread. When difficulties are widespread and interventions appears rather reductive local and is a general the traditional intervention. What we typically call commitment plays a big part in two different moments in the problem of difficulties. On the one hand, the lack of commitment is recognized as one of the causes more frequent that the students' difficulties. On the other hand, commitment is considered a necessary condition for the success of the recovery procedure. In the first case, the lack of commitment constitutes a particular diagnosis, an interpretation of the student's difficulties. In the second case, is considered an obstacle to the success of any recovery intervention, and its relevance is therefore cross-sectional to any diagnosis. So these are my useful.
Yes, ma'am. Now,
Thank you.
strong teacher-student relationship have long been considered a foundational aspects of a positive school experience. So we all know effective classroom management starts with a relationship building. When students feel a greater sense of belonging, they are more likely to be academically engaged and demonstrate positive behavior. So can you share an example of an effective classroom management technique which you have used in your school?
Yes, I use a lot my favorite teaching methodology. It is flip the classroom. As one of the most popular trends in education, we have often heard of the flipped classroom methodology. But what is it? It is about a classroom that's been flipped that make it unique. The basic idea of the flipped classroom is that the lesson becomes homework while the time in the classroom is used for collaborative activities, experiences, database, and workshops. It is in this context the teacher does not take on the role of leading actor. It rather becomes a sort of a facilitator, the director of the didactic action. Over time, at home, videos and other digital resources are widely used as a content to be studied, while in the classroom, the students experiment, collaborate, carry out laboratory activities. To all intents and purposes, flipping is a teaching methodology to be used in a fluid and a flexible way, regardless of the discipline of the the type of class. It is important that the time gained in the class, thanks to flipping, is used in an optimal way, and that the resources used by the student over time at home are of a high quality, as well as being calibrated on the level of knowledge reached up to that point by the young person. An integrated content library with online videos screened for quality and accessibility is the best starting point for achieving a good final result. A flipped classroom is a type of blended learning where students are introduced to content at home and practice working throughout it at school. This is the reverse of the more common practice of introducing new content at school, then assigning homework and projects to be completed by the students independently at home. It is a part of a blended learning with the asynchronous and synchronous activities. First, the students study topics. Secondly, in the classroom, they apply the knowledge by solving problems during tutorial activities with the teacher. They learn by doing and by interactions with others. Several pedagogical means are used in learning to a hybridization of courses. Why do I adopt this idea? I love this methodology. To elevate the improvement to educational interactions in the classroom, tools optimizing time at school, to develop and strengthen independent and peer learning, to be able to dedicate more time to young people who need more support, to put the student at the center of the process by providing him with the tools that allow him to deepen the topics, thus generating a richer and more stimulated context. Students are not only actively involved in the path and the way of the objectives, but also participate in the evaluation during the flipped methodology. To promote the development of students' digital skills, their autonomy and ability to work with others, thus preparing them better for the world of work than traditional teaching. Because the young person is the protagonist of activities oriented towards problem solving, learning by doing, an interpreter of his own knowledge, as well as author. Thanks also to the ease with the ECT allows consume, produce contents. In a common flipped classroom scenario, students might watch pre-recorded videos at home, then come to school to do the homework, armed with questions and at least some background knowledge. We recommend that you motivate students to watch the video home by adding a brief description of a video, including its length. Secondly, explaining what you want them to get out of watching it. Third, posing some critical questions for them to consider while they are watching the video. This can form the basis of in-class discussion. And then including a quiz to see students' understanding at the end. The concept behind the flipped classroom is to rethink when students have access to the resources they need most. If the problem is that the students need help doing the work rather than being introduced to the new thinking behind the work, then the solution the flipped classroom takes is to reverse that pattern. What's the simplest way to think about a flipped classroom? Students do homework, I repeat, do homework at school. Put another way, students preview content home and then extend the learning and or practice at school. But don't be fooled. Merely flipping your homework and lecture doesn't mean you are looking at all the benefits of flipped learning. True flipped learning is about opening up class time and transforming it into hands-on, differentiated, and even personalized learning experience. When was born flipped classroom, it all began in Colorado with two teachers, Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams, in 2007. They began recording their lessons and lectures and turning them into videos. Then they began to use it in their classrooms, calling it pre-broadcasting. However, Jonathan and Aaron give credit to Lage, Platt, and Trias for their paper entitled Inverting the Classroom, Forgetting Things, starting in 2000. At the time, there just weren't enough resources or knowledge around the concept for it to really gain traction. Following 2007, the concept really took off. Various schools began flipping their classrooms, and the rest is history. A flipped classroom, sometimes referred to as an inverted classroom, doesn't necessarily provide true flipped learning. It's what happens in the classroom that matters. I repeat, true flipped learning turns classroom time into a more individualized experience. Instead of an instructor addressing all students as a group, learners move at their own pace or in small groups to apply their knowledge. Some of the benefits of a flipped classroom are: it is flexible. Students can learn at their own pace, take responsibility for their learning. There are more opportunities for higher level learning. Teachers work more closely with the students, getting to know students better and providing better assistance. There is increased collaboration between the students also. Teachers think that creating or finding sources for students to use outside of class is the most difficult part of implementing a flipped classroom. However, most of the benefits of a flipped classroom depend on what happens in the classroom instead of a lecture. To plan a flipped lesson, you have to follow these steps. First of all, you have to decide how you will use your class time and design all those activities. Then you find or create resources for students to use at home. Then you teach students how to use the material at home. Flipped lessons can take also different forms. For example, some lessons may take the form of unit hyperdoc that requires students to progress throughout a series of lesson components, designed to encourage them to engage with and explore content, apply what they have learned, and extend their knowledge. And now I want to explain you some classroom apps for teachers. For the list below, I looked for apps that really combine forces to deliver a good flipped learning lesson. It's not just video apps I will be showing you, but apps that allow you to combine several resources such as video, text, images, links, and evaluation tools. This brings you more than just sharing a YouTube video with your students without knowing what insights they got from it. First of all, I want to speak to you about Edpuzzle. Prepare the classroom with Edpuzzle, an easy and effective way to deliver videos in your classroom or outside your classroom. It's not just a video distributor. With Edpuzzle, you can make the video come to life by adding audio notes and questions. Edpuzzle makes it easy to add comments to videos, and the questions make the video more interactive. When should you use Edpuzzle? You can use it to empower critical thinking when students watch a video. Perfect to use in a flipped classroom. Students can download the app and receive video assignments directly with questions, so they can check and they understand it throughout the video. Book widgets allows you to make interactive lessons. It provides strong digital templates of all kinds of interactive exercises. You just have to add your own content. You can choose between more than 40 different widgets or exercises to engage your students. Make your own adapted crossword riddles, videos, jigsaw puzzles, web quests, quizzes, timelines, and much more. It does the great thing for you. You can also put all the exercises together in a web quest and just share a link with your students and they can start working at home. At the end of the web quest, you can add a quiz to test your students' understanding. That way you know where to start your lesson. You get your students' results instantly via the grades and reporting tab in Book Widgets. And it integrates modeling with the learning management system like Google Classroom, Canvas, Moodle, Schoology, and Apple Schoolworks. Another interesting app is Symbaloo. It helps you organize your web of classroom resources in one place. These resources are stored on a dashboard in the form of buttons. This dashboard can be set as your own page, so you can find all the resources you need immediately. It gives you the possibility to personalize the dashboard. For teachers, Symbaloo has a special section that gives you the possibility to create your own learning paths or lesson plans. Just share the link or classroom code with your students and let them discover the learning path independently. You can add the videos, links, book widgets, exercises, and more to the Symbaloo tiles. You can use also TED. It is very popular. It's a youth and education initiative. TED wants to celebrate the ideas of teachers and students around the world. Everything they do is only with one goal: supporting learning. They produce a growing library of the original animated videos and provide an international platform for teachers to create their own interactive lessons. All the videos made by TED and other teachers are mostly short videos that don't last longer than 5 minutes. Choose a lesson topic and find a suitable video in the library. It's very helpful with finding the resources and helping you to explain something. Bonus, you get to save preparation time. The videos ask your students to solve enigmas or to think critically. When they come to your class the next day, you have some stuff to discuss. Students can also create TED Talks about certain subjects and perform them in front of their fellow students in the classroom. Another interesting app is Khan Academy. It started out with its famous YouTube videos. Now you can just go to their website and search for a learning video about the topic you want to teach. Choose between subjects as math, science, engineering, computing, arts and humanities, economy, finance. By signing up, you can create a classroom and invite your students to take some video lessons and to take a quiz afterwards. This is really handy for flipped learning. You can even follow your students' progress from a distance. Afterwards, you can see what parts of the lesson students didn't understand, and explain it again in the classroom with some exercises as well. And my favorite tool that I use often in my classroom is Kahoot. Formative assessment is extremely important in any classroom, and flipped classrooms are not exception. The flipped strategy puts more responsibility for viewing and interacting with the content of the students, and formative assessment is therefore needed after every video. Teacher can create gamified formative assessment activities for their students using a Kahoot, and assign this activity as homework, which allows students to play the games individually. Kahoot activities can also be used as a whole class formative assessment. Students enjoy a lot Kahoot because of the gamified component of the activity. Another tool that I love a lot is Nearpod. With the Nearpod, you can create an interactive presentation. Especially, you can add slide by slide or choose a special way template you can adjust. All those slides make an amazing interactive presentation, especially if you add activities like quizzes, open-ended questions, book widgets, exercises, polls, draw questions, and others. What about taking your students on a field trip within your presentation? Just set the slide with a virtual reality experience for a Nearpod's library. When your presentation is ready, your students can opt by entering a code in their Nearpod smartphone app. As a teacher, you are in charge of the presentation. When you switch to another slide, the presentation on your students' phones will also switches to that slide. You can also let your students go throughout the presentation independently, which is more suited for flipping the classroom. When your students have to make a quiz or a poll, they can just do that on their screen, as it is a part of the presentation. The answers are gathered live, so you can see immediately what your students answered and use that information to adjust your lesson the next day. And an app that you can't think that is very useful for students is WhatsApp. WhatsApp or any other social media platform that allows communication, such as a secret Facebook group for your course, can also help when it comes to flipping your classroom. When students have to go throughout subjects by themselves, they might get stuck. A social media platform offers your students a way to communicate with each other and ask questions about their homework. That way, they don't have to bother the teacher all the time. Of course, you can just make sure to get your instructions right with basically all the apps mentioned above. And then I could also speak to you about Padlet, Poll Everywhere, or other apps such as Loom, that is a screen capturing software that allows you to make instructional videos. Wakelet is a tool that allows users to take control of the content that interests and inspires them. Wakelet users can save content and organize it in folders or wakes. For example, students' portfolio. And Book Creator, it is very useful for students who use flipped classroom methodology. It is designed to teach students by getting them excited about creating their own books on the topics they are learning about. Students can upload images, choose from emojis, make recordings and videos, and create and then share a finished book they wrote. And the free version of the tool allows educators to create a library of 40 books. Book Creator includes many templates to make creating various book projects easy and straightforward. Educators can also use it to assign materials to students in an interactive book form. And these are all the apps that I use in my classroom in the flipped classroom of methodology. Thank you.
Very nicely, ma'am, you have given some classroom techniques. And here I would like to add one Daniel Goleman's famous quote: "The responsive classroom approach creates an ideal environment for learning. Every teacher should know about it." So my next question is about the education system in your Italy. Education, we know education is a social institution through which a society children are taught basic academic knowledge, learning skills, and cultural norms. So every nation in the world is equipped with some form of education system, though those systems vary greatly. So we would like to know the education system in Italy.
Before starting, you should know that Italian schools are divided in public, financed by the state, and private, maintained throughout tuition fees, the money paid by the students. The programs of both these types of school follow the regulation that come directly from the Ministry of Education, University and Research. Now let's look at the various steps. First, kindergarten. This is a school which is not compulsory to attend. Parents can decide to enroll their children according to needs. It is divided into kindergarten, attended by children from 0 to 3 years. Kindergarten attended by children from 3 to 6 years. From 6 to 17 years of age, attending school becomes compulsory as established by law, and one becomes part of the so-called compulsory school, which begins with primary or elementary school. This school is attended by students aged 6 to 11. It therefore lasts 5 years. In this time, boys and girls learn to write and read, and learn the first information on history, geography, mathematics, Italian grammar, science, music, and gymnastics, and for a few years also the English language and information technology, while the study of religion is optional. Then there is a lower secondary school or middle school. This stage lasts 3 years and involves students aged 11 to 13. During this period, the students deepen the subjects learned in the elementary school, and at the end of the course, they must take the 8th grade exam, which consists of written test in Italian, written exam in mathematics, written text in languages, English, French, or Spanish. Oral test, which consists in a presentation of a part on a specific topic that includes all the subjects studied. Then there is a secondary school or high school, the school in which I teach. This stage lasts 5 years and involves students ages 14 to 19, but boys and girls can already drop out of school at the age of 16. Students can choose between 3 types of high schools based on their goals. High school offers a more theoretical and oriented education towards the continuation of studies at university, and based on subjects studied can be different of different types: classical, Latin, Greek, and Italian, scientific, mathematics, physics, and science, linguistic, English and foreign languages, technological, artistic, and musical. Technical professional institutes, where I teach in a technical institute, where study is accompanied by the learning of technical practical skills, suitable for entering the world of work in sectors such as economy, tourism, technology, agriculture, graphic, and health and care professions. Vocational education and training, where you learn more practical job-related skills. Some of the jobs that these institutes focus on are hydraulic, electrician, hairdresser, beautician, etc. At the end of high school, you have to take another test, the deleted file and final exam or state exam, divided in 2 written parts, 1 and 1 oral. The passing of which allows you to obtain the high school diploma, thanks to which you can access at the university. University is divided into first cycle, commonly called a 3-year degree, and as the name suggests, lasts 3 years. The choice offered by the various Italian universities is very wide and diversified and includes scientific faculties, mathematics, physics, astrophysics, chemistry, humanities, letters, philosophy, languages, cultural heritage, techniques, architecture, engineering, economics. Then there is the second cycle, also known as a master's or specialist degree. It generally lasts 2 years and is the continuation of a 3-year course to guarantee those who choose it a higher degree of specialization in their field. However, there are some courses, law, pharmacy, building engineering, architectures, which last 5 years, and medicine 6 years, and are called the single cycle degree courses. Then there is the third cycle dedicated to the most ambitious and includes masters, generally short courses of study, created to give the possibility to those who wish to deepen specific aspects concerning the discipline studied during the first 2 cycles. Doctorates, these are more theoretical courses, suitable for those who want to build a career in the academic world of work in the research field. Surely, mathematics has been of a great importance since so we can study everything till the age of 25, 26. Okay.
Great, ma'am. You have explained very nicely. Now, we'll come off this end of this question. Inspiration can come from various aspects in life. It can come from the people in our lives, such as family members, parents, siblings, friends, teachers, professors, or anyone that comes into our lives. People also have their inspiration derived from other things like nature, music, art, personal experiences, and much more. So, as a teacher, here I would like to ask you one question. Name the people that inspired you.
It's not a teacher that inspired me a lot, but a statesman, a great man, a man that is not living now, but that I love a lot. I love his life and everything he has done in his life, during his life, and is Nelson Mandela, a man who fought all his life for equality and to free his people, so South Africa from apartheid. I believe that Nelson Mandela's superpower was not his endless empathy and compassion, it was his relationships. Far from being perfect, he said he chose to love rather than fear, forgive rather than hate, reconcile rather than resent, accept rather than make wrong, share rather than hoard, seek understanding rather than bleeding judge. As overwhelming as it may seem to try to live a life, you can start small with this simple idea. Whenever you are in a tight spot or don't know which choice you make, ask yourself, what would Madibas do? Try it. You will discover profound wisdom inside you, and that you may never know was there. To shine bright together. And I love him a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Here, I would like to add Nelson Mandela's famous quote, my favorite quote, education is the most powerful
It's
weapon
powerful word.
which you can use to change the world.
The world. I always say this phrase in Italian to my students, and I write it at the end of my presentation in international speaking, because I love these words, this phrase, this quote is wonderful, and we
Yes,
should
it inspires.
use it every time.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Very true. Now, before concluding this session, I would like to share Dalai Lama's famous quote, when educating the minds of our youth, we must not forget to educate their hearts. So human happiness and human satisfaction must ultimately come from within oneself. So on behalf of IDY team, I express my gratitude to you, ma'am, and Ravi sir and Dinal ma'am. I would also thank those who have participated directly and indirectly in this program. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable guidance.
Thank you too. Hello.